All right, so welcome in, everybody. We got Roger Clark here, special guest. Yesterday, Fort Solis launched. It's his new game. Most of you guys know him as Arthur Morgan, but now we know him as Jack Leary, the main character for Fort Solis. So, Roger, do you want to tell us about Fort Solis and what the game is about?
Sure. Fort Solis is a sci-fi thriller. It's a walking sim out on PC and PS5, and it takes place over one night of terror. Jack Leary responds to a distress call from Fort Solis, which is a remote mining colony on Mars, and I think it is 2080 or something.
Yep, 2080.
So not too distant future. I mean, if you have some kid born now, he'll be an old man by then, but he'll still be alive. So yeah, they answer a distress call on Mars, and it's the skeleton shift. So you've got you've got Earth and Mars both in orbit around the sun, and at certain points, Earth and Mars are relatively close to one another, and then another points of their revolution around the sun, they're really far away.
Yeah.
So we reckon that when the planets are close together, that's when the ships are all going to go back and forth, and they're going to transport supplies and people and whatnot. And when the planets are really far away, that's when it's kind of like just the skeleton crew on Mars, kind of like the way, in the middle of January, you only got like a couple of people in Antarctica just making sure nothing freezes up. Mm-hmm. So it's so there's no one around. And I think anyone who volunteers for that sort of shift is definitely running away from something. And Jack and Jessica are two people that definitely fall into that category. They're work colleagues, and they're just sick. All they do is spend time with each other and just make sure nothing breaks down. And so the game starts off with them answering a signal. I don't want to go too much into it.
Yeah.
Stars Troy Baker. He plays this friggin' psycho. Where his craziness begins and his scientific responsibility ends. I think Troy Baker does an amazing job. It's one of the finer things he's done, and it was real fun working with him, because I've been looking up to him for years. I would study him when we were doing Red Dead 2. I would play The Last of Us. I would play Uncharted 4. I would play. His resume is a mile long, isn't it? So
yes.
I love Troy Baker. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, I had a question for a little bit later on, but since you brought up Troy Baker, I was wondering, you guys worked on set together, correct? Like these weren't like captured separately. Like you guys were there on set together. So
yeah. So not to give too much away, but I know most of your viewers probably saw you finish it yesterday, right?
Yep. We went through it yesterday.
Well, they come to a little disagreement, and that fight was completely choreographed by these awesome stunt performers. But me and Troy were doing it, and then they had some stunt guys doing it as well. But it turns out they used pretty much most of me and Troy's stuff. So yeah, me and Troy learned this huge fight.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was really cool. And the stunt guys were really cool to work with too. They made us feel comfortable and safe and all that. But there was one time I was coming back from lunch, and I come into the foyer of the mocap studio, and there's this huge hole in the wall. They're not going to like that. So I come in and I said, "Did you see that big hole in the wall?" And they're like, yeah, that was Troy. He was practicing the fight with one of the stunt guys, and he sent him through the wall. But it's okay, because they never bothered fixing it, and Troy signed the wall, and now they've actually cut a bit of it out, and they framed it.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to watch Gamescom because we were streaming yesterday, and I went back and watched your appearance, and like when you said about Troy's butthole, I'm like, well, hold on a second, I need the full context. And I was going to ask you to elaborate on that, so because they didn't really give you a lot of time to kind of go into that, so that's funny to hear. Like it was during a choreography moment, he went right through the wall.
It was the whole of his butt, yes.
Not his actual butt, but the way it was phrased definitely got your attention. But yeah, the imprint of his butt into the wall.
Yeah. Did you see any other Gamescom?
No, I just want to make sure I caught your segment, and then I'm going to go back probably tonight or tomorrow and watch the whole thing and see what games are coming out.
Starfield, that they just dropped a new trailer. It looks insane.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Really good. Alan Wake 2 looks really good. I was chatting to Sam Lake he's such a cool guy. He still hasn't aged a day. I look at him and I still think it's Max Payne, you know?
Yeah.
And Will Spencer's hand, that was really cool. And it was nice to see Jeff Keighley again. He's a really cool guy. You know, man, what he's done for the video game industry. He's got like 3 or 4 of these shows a year now.
Mm. But
he's like the king of video game trailers, isn't he?
Yeah. So again, with Troy, like my question was like, when you like clearly like you're a big fan of Troy. So like when you arrived on set and you saw him and Arthur Morgan and Troy and Joel Miller being like 2 of the biggest video game protagonists, I would say, in gaming history. Like the 2 actors are now working together. Was there a moment where you kind of, you know, geeked out a little bit towards him, or maybe he even looks at you now the way you looked at him after your performance as Arthur Morgan? Or was it just another day?
We had a big argument over who would win in a fight, Arthur or Joel, you know? No, I'm joking.
It's funny you say it, because like as fans, we have those arguments.
I know you do. I've seen them. Yeah. Silly. But you know, I don't think Arthur can really stand up that much against. All he needs is a bit of a TB microbe, and he's screwed. But you know, in the other case, all Joel needs is a golf club, and you know, he's not going to do too well either. So I think both of them have definite weaknesses. But yeah, it turns out Troy loved Red Dead, and you know, to hear him and saying how much he enjoyed my work, I was insane for me to hear. Yeah, because I definitely heard of him before he had heard of me. But the fact that he enjoyed Red Dead though meant the world, and that was really cool. And yeah, and getting to work with him was really awesome, really, really awesome.
That's great. So another question I have. A lot of things I see especially on Twitter, when people, you know, like ask you questions or whatever, they always refer to you as a voice actor. And I know you're a performance capture artist. Sometimes I just call you an actor because like you're not just the voice. Did you want to kind of go into that a little bit and explain to people what the difference is between a voice actor and a performance capture artist?
I know. I keep going on about it, don't I?
I even try to, like, when I respond to those tweets, I make sure I don't like outright correct them, but I make sure I use the right terminology just to get the word out, get the attention out.
Yeah. Well, you know, I love being a voice actor, you know, and I'm very proud to be a voice actor when I am one. Mm-hmm. Red Dead voice acting, maybe about 10% of it was, but most of the performances in gaming now kind of isn't voice acting. You know, no 2 studios do it the same way, but the majority of like lead roles in AAA titles now is done via performance capture. It's the exact same thing as Avatar. Nobody calls the cast of Avatar voice actors. Mm-mm. It's the exact same thing that we did on Red Dead. It's the exact same thing Troy Baker did on Last of Us 2. You know, and it's just an awesome place. It's an awesome way to work, and it's very different from voice acting. Like the 2 couldn't be more different in many ways. So I'm so passionate about mocap, and I love it. I just try to raise awareness, because half of the time you call someone a voice actor these days, you're wrong. Yeah. Because I love voice acting too, though. Don't get me wrong. But in many ways, I don't feel I'm very accomplished as a voice actor. But the funny thing is like before Red Dead 2 came out, you know, nobody knew who I was. I was an off-Broadway kind of actor. I did a lot of theater and voiceover. And then when Red Dead 2 came out, I'm very grateful for it, you know, because it opened loads of opportunities. But the opportunities that it opened was mostly voice acting, which is ironic because that wasn't what I did. But huge misunderstanding. You know, I still call Pepsi Coke sometimes. So it's just 10, 15 years ago, it all was voice acting mostly, but it's kind of evolved now. So yeah, every opportunity I get, I try to remind people, yeah, it's not voice acting. Most of it isn't voice acting anymore. It's something completely different. We're just like Andy Serkis wearing the tight spandex.
Yeah, because with Red Dead, and speaking of voice acting, I noticed after I think it was after Red Dead, you started doing like the books on tape, like you would read the books. Was after Red Dead, correct, or not before?
I've been doing that a long time.
Okay.
I started doing that as a kid. Yeah. My dad used to do newspaper for the blind for charity, the Star Ledger in New Jersey, and we would put it on cassette, and I would help cut out articles for him when I was a kid. But then I started doing it. I've been doing audiobooks for about 15 years now.
Okay,
I love it.
Long before Red Dead. And did you have the Arthur Morgan voice? Like, was that already a developed thing going into?
There was a version of him on the first mocap game I did. There's a game called Shell Shock 2, and I play this crazy lunatic sergeant called Sergeant Griffin. And if you listen to his voice, you can hear the beginning of Arthur there. There's a definite Western twang there. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. So yeah, my cowboy accent is, you know, all the cowboy accents I have, that they all sound pretty, you know, you have the tools that you have, right? So my cowboy sounds, all of my cowboys sound a bit like Arthur. Arthur's a part of me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's complaining about that. It's like if you want more Arthur, you can just hear the books on tape, and it's almost like Arthur reading you know, a story.
Some of them are very similar to Arthur. Yeah, like now I try to mix it up a little bit, but like, for example, Arthur has soft R's, you know, he'll say sure, but in a lot of my audiobooks where I do Western accent, I'll make the hard R. I'll make it a bit more Texan and a little less South. I'll go sure, you know. But yeah, I enjoy it. There's a lot of Western books now that I narrate. There's this awesome, cool series called the Black Badge series. We've just released the third book of that like a couple of months ago. It's like a sci-fi angel of God, a hand of God type. It's a cool premise. This guy called, what's his name? I'm so exhausted. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, man. Take your time.
James Crowley goes around the Wild West, and he's just hunting down demons, and he's what you call a hand of God, and he can't die, but he's got no soul too. He's kind of a slave to the archangels, you know. And he goes around the West cleaning it up, making sure that no more demons are hurting people. And it's pretty cool. I like it.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, please do. I hope you like it.
Yeah. So when it comes to performance capture, Red Dead was, you know, came out. I can't believe it's been 5 years, you know, coming up this October. Like, my God, like just thinking about, you know, how long it's been since you finished it. And then all the content that we as creators have made since then. It's just been 5 years of just content.
People still finding new stuff.
Yeah, I would say I'm on my 7th playthrough, but I play with a lot of mods, so I never do like a linear playthrough. I'm kind of all over the place, but people in chat will like tell me some stuff, and we'll go check it out. And it's things that I've never seen. Like, that is probably one of the most detailed maps in gaming history. Like, just the little attention. The one thing that I noticed recently, I was going through the mod menu, just kind of looking for things to like mess with. I noticed that, and I didn't know this, that every single saloon in every town has a different set of cards. Like, that's how detailed the game is. Like, they could have easily just copied and pasted it. Every saloon has its own set of cards.
Nobody would have looked for that.
Yeah, but they did it anyway. And that's, Rockstar is just on a whole nother level when it comes to detail like that.
It is mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that still, you know, one of these days, who knows what'll happen? But every time they do a new update or a new patch, who knows what's good? We might see that that missing countess that everybody keeps about. Who knows? The third meteorite just might be slipped in on an update somewhere. I wouldn't put it past them, you know.
Yeah.
There's Mount Chiliad mystery on GTA 5 still hasn't been solved too, right?
Yeah, but that's you know, that kind of lore keeps people looking, you know, even if it's not there, it still gives us something to talk about.
Yeah.
But I heard rumors that, maybe you can clarify this. I heard rumors that there was a third meteor, but it was like involved with like cut content that was supposed to feature Arthur in New Austin, but that had been like removed from the game. I don't know if there was any validity
I did do a bit of mocap walking around Armadillo. Arthur does. For a while there, Arthur was able to go to Armadillo. But what the premise of it was that it was basically a ghost town because it got hit by scarlet fever or something like that. But yeah, eventually, you know, some things get cut, you know. So just John Marston gets to go there now, and Arthur gets that lovely sniper saying hello every time he tries to go to Blackwater. Or,
you know, we can use mods to turn that off, and we still get to go there as Arthur Morgan.
get in the wagon and you turn the camera way around and then the sniper can't get you?
You know, I didn't know about that.
Apparently you can do that. Right. Yeah.
I'll have to write that down.
Maybe on PC, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you can do it on the console. Anybody watching someone watching probably knows.
Yeah.
But yeah. You rent a stagecoach, and if you sit in the back and if you make the camera go a certain way, the sniper can't get it, Arthur.
All right, chat, write that down. We're going to have to test that out. Teaching me things that you know.
Yeah. When I go to conventions, people tell me all this stuff. I mean, you say you've played it 7 times. That's mad. I've played it twice, but I haven't 100%ed it or anything like that. I know Benjamin Byron Davis, who plays Dutch, he 100%ed it during COVID.
Oh, wow.
That's because those gambling challenges are hard.
Oh, it's funny you say that, because the one time I was going to go for 100% on PlayStation, I think it was before the game came out on PC. Hang on a second. I lost you on the. Oh,
no. You're coming in fine with me.
Yeah, I was trying to, whenever I talk, it cuts you off. I was going to try and change the audio settings in Discord, but it's fine. We'll just work around it. But yeah, the gambler challenge is the one thing that I think for 3 hours I tried to get. You have to win a hand in blackjack with like 5 cards. Or
you got to get through. Right.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just like, guys, I can't do this. And, for me, it's cool to be a trophy hunter. Yeah. To be a trophy hunter and go for 100%, I respect people that do that. For me, I'd rather just start the game over and relive the story.
Yeah, plus, people probably want to watch you do other things too.
Yeah, instead of just sit there at a poker table or a blackjack table the whole time. But my original question was, with Red Dead being so long, not that long ago, but if you count the 8 years before it came out in development versus Fort Solis now, what are some advances that you've seen in mocap technology that maybe made it more efficient, easier on you, changes to the industry?
There were a lot of advancements. Like, for example, a lot of the in-game animation with just Jack Leary walking around. We got, obviously it's a smaller game than Red Dead, as everybody here knows, you can get it done in a night. But with all those in-game animations of Jack Leary walking around, we got that done in like half a day. And it took weeks as Arthur. Weeks. I mean, fair enough. We did capture a little bit more data because there would be Arthur walking normally, there'd be Arthur running, there'd be Arthur crouched, slowly walking, and then you'd get Arthur walking drunk, and then you get Arthur walking when he's injured. So it was a bit more data to capture, but, the technology is definitely advancing, and it's just amazing to witness, because as it gets better and better, the performers are given more and more freedoms, and we can do more with less, and it doesn't take as long. And now they're talking about the underwater mocap now that they did for the last Avatar. Mm-hmm. That was stuff to look at because it came out really, really well. And pretty soon, I think it's already starting to happen. But you're not going to need a specific mocap studio to do it. Some people are able to do mocap on their phones now.
Yeah, I've heard of like indie studios like just doing like a voice call or like a video chat, and they can actually use an app like through that to capture the at least the facial expressions and everything. I don't know about like the full setup, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons. It's funny, that kind of leads into a bit about what the strike, SAG-AFTRA strike, is going on about now, because not just for video games now, but for film also. What a lot of producers are trying to do is create a huge library of just faces. So like you'll get an extra, you got a few extras on set that day. You offer them a bit extra money saying, hey, let's do a facial scan. And, if you don't, some of those contracts, if you don't read them properly, you're signing away your face in perpetuity that they can use it forever. And what about if, like, for example, what if one of these extras then goes on to have quite a successful career? Well, then Warner Brothers or whoever could just turn around and go, well, we own your face, so we don't actually need to pay you that much money. It's crazy. The industry is changing. It's like Napster and Pirates Bay 100 years ago, not 100, like that was about 10 years ago, wasn't it? But what that did for musicians and the way it made them change their industry, I can see that that's happening with actors now. And we've got to rethink how we work because AI and all this advancing technology, it's the genie's out of the bottle. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to irrevocably change the whole industry in ways that I don't think all of us can anticipate.
Yeah, and like you said, like, you know, an actor can be an extra one day and then work their way up the ladder and become a star. But even the people that don't become stars, you know, you show up one day, they scan your likeness, they send you home, you get paid that one day, but there goes your whole career as an extra because you can't. You know, they can just reuse you without calling you back
again, and you're like, what?
Yep, yeah, we're good. We got all we need. Here's your $200 or whatever, you know, for the day.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I've seen people like tag you in some Red Dead stuff. And it's like, oh, Roger Clark would love to see this, and like, no, because it's not a person doing it; it's AI. You know, Dutch singing around a campfire.
80% of that AI stuff is not done out of any malice whatsoever. But a lot of them don't. I don't think a lot of them don't fully appreciate what the ramifications of it are for people like me who make a living. Like, I mean, I'm lucky enough to earn a living from acting, and every day I wake up and pinch myself because of that. But this stuff is definitely a threat. It feels like a threat anyway. But I'm not naive enough to think that it's going to go away. But I did read recently that the federal government came up with you can't copyright AI stuff now, and that's kind of a reassuring thing, because that protects us a little bit. So yeah, the fact that you can't copyright AI created art now is that'll help us, I think. There needs to be some legislation, because I mean, even just imagine the nightmare that you could do. I mean, we've got an election coming up. We can have Joe Biden saying whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, and you're going to have more people in the future like trying to defend things they said or didn't say just because of an AI, you know, replica, and it's only going to get worse like as time goes on.
Oh my God, there could be chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when Joe Biden sing, you know, Lady Gaga, you know, that's fun. But at the same time, you know, someone could really do something damaging, not just to Joe Biden, but to everyone. Mm-hmm.
Like anybody could just, you know, come up with like an AI version of somebody, have you say something, and then in cancel culture, you know, you got to defend yourself of something you never even said and have to prove that wasn't actually you. And it's just like a whole nother, you know, Pandora's box.
They could have you streaming some game that you hate. You could be playing My Little Pony on the Xbox or something.
You know, I have a channel point redemption. If people like, if they watch like for a certain amount of time, they earn channel points that they can use to cash in. And one of the rewards, if you have 500,000 channel points, you can cash that in and make me play any game. And those type of games are what worry me about that reward, because they're going to have me playing some sort of like Barbie game or, you know, My Little Pony. It wouldn't be bad though if it was like a My Little Pony horror game, maybe like have a horror twist to it.
I would totally watch you play that.
I think they would too. I think.
What games don't you like to play?
What games don't I like to play?
I know we were talking about how good kids are and how we can't compete with them anymore.
Yeah. Me and Roger were talking earlier about how, you know, I was saying how the older I get, the less patience I have for PvP and, you know, games like Call of Duty, where it's like no matter how much you play, you're never going to be as good as like the kids that just play all day, every day.
Can't compete.
And then with you know, I don't ever have like the game chat turned on, but sometimes I'll accidentally like bump that setting and I'll hear the kids talking, and like it really puts it in perspective, like, oh my God, these are like 10-year-olds that are kicking my ass. I think I'm bitching while I'm playing thinking like it's adults, and then once you hear the kids talking, you're like, oh, that's who's beating me. Okay.
And the stuff that comes out of their mouths as they beat us. It's all good. Yeah, people ask. I haven't been on Red Dead Online that much. I did do a little bit during COVID. I think I got up to about level 45 or so. We did do a charity stream, which was a lot of fun. We got to meet some people on the server, and we had some trolls come around and start throwing dynamite at us.
Sounds right.
The whole server just turned on them, and they had to log off.
It's even harder on, I don't know if you're playing on PC or console, but man, PC can be a nightmare when it comes to hackers and modders, like just taking trolling to a whole nother level.
It looks so good on PC, but no, I don't have a PC. I got I got pretty much everything else, but I don't have a PC. And I still, the only PS5 I got a digital PS5 that doesn't have a disc. So I still play Red Dead on the PS4.
Oh, nice. That's the one game I have on disc that I still play. And that's why I made sure I got the PS5 with the disc drive specifically for RDR2. Yeah.
I tried to get it with the disc drive, but I was like almost 2 years ago. And, remember how rare it was?
Oh, yeah.
I was lucky to get one, so I just took it,
Yeah, I got signed up with a bunch of different websites, and I think I got a notification saying Walmart was selling them or something. And like as soon as I got it, I was like in checkout within like 30 seconds. Yeah.
That's what I did too. Yeah.
But yeah, back to Fort Solis. The one thing that if you guys don't know this, like the game is playable in one sitting. And I think what's cool about Fort Solis is that it is like appropriately priced. You see a lot of like full price games for like, that only give you so much content. But this being, I think it's on sale right now on Steam, at least for like $22. It's like, yeah, 22 to 25. And that's like, and for an indie studio with only 10 developers, that's a pretty, monumentous feat to design a game like that.
10 people spit that out in 2 years and no delays. It's pretty impressive. It's kind of crazy, really. Devs work so hard. And I don't care what studio, they all work so hard and they're so passionate about what they do. And Fallen Leaf are a good bunch of people. They're a real pleasure to work with, and it's cool that indies can still compete with the big boys, And yeah, I think a lot of people don't have 60 hours to put into a game anymore. Sometimes you just want to enjoy one night. Like I just finished Firewatch for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I loved that. And then What Remains of Edith Finch, that was another really good one. And Stray. There's a real growing market for more bite-sized games that you can get done in one night or a weekend. And and they're all they're more story-based stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying all these new games that are coming out.
Yeah, I played Stray last year, and I didn't know much about it going into it. I just saw other people were playing it. I think I beat it in 2 streams, and wow, like I didn't expect to get so like emotional over like a cat and a robot, but they really did some amazing storytelling to make you get so invested in something like that.
It was. And not one human being in the whole thing.
Yeah,
it was really.
I think I posted a TikTok saying it was like my reaction to the ending. I said saddest, spoiler alert, saddest death in gaming history since RDR2, since Arthur Morgan. And then
what?
You didn't play it yet?
What happens in Red Dead 2?
I can't tell you. You're gonna have to play it for yourself.
No. I knew that was those 4 different endings for Arthur. Yeah, 5 years I worked on that game, and we did the deaths kind of in the last year. I think that was quite emotional to do. Yeah, I think it was emotional for everyone, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It's touching that it's affected so many people. I mean, to be part of something that's enjoyed by so many people it's still insane.
Yeah,
I can't. Around it.
My unofficial official ending, like whenever I play, like my first playthrough, I think I went like low honor and went for the money, and then my game glitched out, so I had to replay the chapter 6 again, like just that final mission. So I made some different choices and got my honor up and got high honor on the mountain, so I got to see at least 2 of the 4. And then ever since then, it's like, man, if you're not going to the mountain and helping John with high honor, you're not getting the true ending that Arthur deserves. So that's why I tell people, like, that's the one you got to get.
That's the first ending I performed. I think that's the best one.
Yeah.
What are you going back to the money for? You're not going to spend it. You're dead in a couple of months, regardless of what happens. So yeah, but the fact that Rockstar gives the player that much control is cool. But yeah, what are you doing going back for the money? Psychopaths do that.
I think the DLC we all want, though, is, how to avoid Thomas Downs, and then give us an entire alternate multiverse storyline where Arthur doesn't have TB. He gets to the mountain, he beats Micah, and lives on with John building Beecher's Hope.
He wears his mask when he goes on that debt collecting.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn Strauss.
Damn Strauss. But Strauss, what in the end you hear he gets captured by the Pinkertons and they torture him and he never lets anything out. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't rat him out.
Mm-hmm.
They kill him, but he doesn't give him away.
That's good. Yeah, we have a lot of fan theories, like, because after playing it so many times, I feel like when you play it the first time, it's like, all right, yep, Micah was the rat, he's the bad guy, boom, 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 cut and dry. And then the more you play it, the more you start to see little things.
Yeah, it could be they were just sloppy, you know.
That's what I said.
Maybe Milton was just talking shit, you know. We'll never know. We'll never know. Yeah. I definitely think Micah killed Kane, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying Micah was a good guy, but I feel like upon going through further playthroughs, he was just an outlaw, and he just focused on what needed to be done. And Arthur was the one who had a change of heart and had his redemption arc. And by comparison, Micah just looked even worse. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities that Micah wasn't the rat, and who else could have been the rat, and some of the things just don't add up. But that's a conversation.
Some people thought that Abigail could have been the rat because they captured her. When they captured her in Saint Denis, she just sings like a canary. But I don't know if I believe that either, because I don't think she would have put John Marston in. That would have put John Marston in a lot of danger if she had done that. I don't think she would have done that.
Yeah, yeah, with the gang, like he'd be. Yeah, but I mean, then again, everybody got shot, but John was captured. So she may have made a deal to spare his life. Maybe.
Yeah. Your guess is fine.
Yeah. But yeah. So are you still hitting the gym? Because I remember you posted a tweet about a year or two ago, working out, and asked me how your form was.
I'm still at it. I'm just trying to be consistent. I just benched 200.
Oh wow!
I'm the strongest I've ever been.
That's great.
And, I still got that extra 10 pounds around the gut that is so hard to shake off. But I'm working on it, and I feel great. You know, I got a little fat during COVID, didn't we all?
Yeah. I remember, all the gyms being closed, I ordered a 50-pound dumbbell thinking I was ordering two. And I think I spent over $100 for one dumbbell. And I'm like, I need something. So then I ordered the second one. It is what it is, you know?
Very good. Yeah. Gotta be move it. I'm at that age now where it's literally move it or lose it. So yeah, it's good. It makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. And for me, when I was younger, I used to try and chase, trying to do heavier weight and, trying to put certain things up. But it's the older I get, the more I try to find ways to go lighter, preserve my joints and ligaments, and just still get a good workout.
Totally. My trainer just tore his quad, the poor guy. He's going to be out for 2 months. Oh, man. He was just carrying something, going down steps, and he just misstepped. Yeah. Tore his quad. I feel so bad for him.
It's always amazing how people can lift all the time, and it's always these weird freak accidents in everyday life that ends up putting them out.
Dude, I just twisted and took a dish out of the dishwasher and I threw my back out.
I've definitely pulled my back quite a few times sneezing. I don't know if you've ever had that issue.
Madness, I say.
So is there any other what else do you do besides Comic-Con appearances, motion capture, voiceover jobs?
Most of my work these days is gaming and audiobooks. But I've been producing a few shorts. That's kind of on the back burner now with the strike, but I do miss being in front of the camera. It's the weirdest things, because before Red Dead came out, I had loads more on-camera auditions than I do now. And one of the reasons why is because everybody thinks I just work in a booth reading off of a script. So you can see why I keep making a point of talking about performance capture, because it can if your work is inaccurately described all the time, it can affect what jobs you get offered. And I for one, I can totally testify to that, because I don't get anywhere near as many on-camera auditions as I used to. I'm not complaining, because the work that I do get offered is awesome. But I love being in front of the camera, and my whole career I've always tried to resist being pigeonholed, or at least I've tried to keep my pigeonhole as big as possible, because the more stuff you can do, the more likely you are to keep working, right? So producing shorts has been a lot of fun. I still do a lot of audiobooks. I still do a lot of video games. But I'm going back to do theater in about a month or so. We're doing A Man for All Seasons at Jersey Shakes, the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, and I play Henry VIII.
So is that
looking forward to?
Is that something that you want to do more of? Like, you want to, like, are you cool with being like just more video game and less live action, or is that something you want to do more of, live action, maybe get into movies, more TV series?
I'm greedy. I want to do it all. I want to do as much as I can get. And I started out in theater, but I haven't done it in quite a while. So I'm excited to get back because that's one area AI can't touch, is live theater. No,
and I had this thought earlier when we were talking about the AI. It's like, if AI starts replacing actors, I feel like no matter how good the AI is, when it's not a human being portraying that character, there's always going to be that disconnect between the audience watching an AI generated human convey emotion. Like, it's not a person bringing those emotions out. It's a computer who's studied things and then is just spitting it out. So no matter what, I don't think it's ever going to be as relatable.
Yeah, I think I'm no expert on AI, and I think there's definitely, it's going to just keep on advancing. But when the audience I think the audience can still tell the difference. And the day that they can't, that's going to be a real game changer. But AI at the moment, from what I can see anyways, AI doesn't do anything new. It just researches the thousands and tens of thousands of ways certain things have been done before, and it comes up with a new way to recreate that. So, humans can be inspired. I don't think computers can get inspired the same way we can just yet.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought.
No. I was looking for because you were talking about doing your your shorts on YouTube, like the short films, right? Not YouTube shorts. You mean short films?
Short films, yes.
Yeah. Because we had watched one a couple months ago called Hazardous, where we saw you clucking like a chicken. Yeah. We watched that. Was Peter Blomquist in that too?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't. If you go onto my YouTube channel, you'll see another short film called Raw Mouth.
Okay, maybe that's what. Okay.
Yeah, and you might recognize Pearson in there too, because it's Tim essentially. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's cool. They they're on board to help you out and work with you.
Oh yeah, we filmed that upstate New York in the dead of February. It was cold. It was a night shoot, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was looking at your IMDb because I wanted to see like what work you've done like prior to us talking today. And I did see a trailer for something called Bunker. That looked really good. Like, I might have to check that out. It almost looked like a thriller, like in like World War II trenches.
It's a World War I horror.
World War I horror. Okay.
It came out earlier this year. Blink and you'll miss me. I show up at the end.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we filmed that in Buffalo, New York. And it was a lot of fun. It's kind of like, it's kind of an H.P. Lovecraft World War I horror type thing, starring a really cool kid called Eddie Ramos.
Okay.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought, check it out if you want. It's a fun horror movie.
All right. So favorite games of all time. It doesn't have to be one.
Oh, wow. Okay. So my heyday, my first console was the Atari. And I've been playing video games probably since like 1980. But my heyday, I think, was when I was in college. I love Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10. I love the first Resident Evils. I loved all that stuff. I I played the first Red Dead Redemption all the time when I was working on Red Dead 2. That game is one of my all-time favorites. I love The Last of Us. I prefer the first one, but I love the second one's great too. But I think I prefer the first one just because of the relationship between Joel and Ellie and watching that develop. And it's just so expertly done. And I love the Uncharted series, you know, and I love the GTA series too. I was in college when the first GTA came out, when you were looking down from the bird's eye view. And yeah, I would binge GTA for days when I was in college, back when I should have been studying. I played it so much that like I would be like in a darkened room for like almost 2 days. And eventually I would have to go out and eat something. And I'd just be walking along the sidewalk and I'd hear a car driving up behind me. And I was convinced that it was going to swerve and hit me because that's what I had been doing on GTA for the last 2 days. Yeah, I used to do some pretty crazy stuff. You know what I would do in the GTA 3 when that first came out? That was groundbreaking. I would get a taxi, I'd steal a taxi, and I'd pick up a fare, right? But I wouldn't take him to his destination. I would take him to my garage, and I would lock him in my garage for days, right? And I'd get a flamethrower, right? And then I'd finally let him out of the garage, and yeah, I'd get the flamethrower out. I was pretty sadistic, but hey, you know, I think it's healthy to do that stuff out on video games.
Yeah, get it out of your system there than in the real world. Just don't get near Roger Clark's garage. You might get through. It's amazing though, talking about the top-down GTAs and like where they've gone, and you know, even seeing like some of the leaked stuff for GTA 6, it's like you can really see. I mean, not that, you know, I don't condone leaking stuff, but it was out there for a brief moment. You can really see like a lot of it looks and feels like RDR2. So you can like, it's gonna be cool to kind of see those level of graphics and everything. Like
absolutely, and you know, one thing that Rockstar is amazing at is just the diversity of the NPCs. You know, this just blows my mind. You can, like, I've seen videos on YouTube where someone just follows one person in Valentine, and they have an entire daily routine.
Yeah, and it kind of it kind of spoils us when it comes to other games because we expect more out of, because I remember playing Cyberpunk when that first came out, and I was so disappointed at like how little the NPCs would interact with each other, with you. I think all of them had like 3 voice lines and that was it, and they would walk down the street, bump into something, turn around, walk back, and they didn't have any, like, there's no life to them, there's no soul. But like with Rockstar, it's like every single NPC has a purpose.
It's crazy. The attention to detail is mind-blowing. Working with them was a real privilege. There's not one weak link. And literally, I mean, it's a small village now. You know, they've got a staff of like a couple of thousand, and it was a joy working with each and every one of them. They're all so smart, so talented, so committed. You know, and I know it takes so long for games to come out now, and a lot of people get frustrated, but I can tell you, for, you know, any dev, it doesn't matter what studio they work for, they are just as passionate about games as you. They want it to come out just as quickly as you, and they're heroes, man. Well, maybe heroes is too far, but you know, they are doing their damnedest to try and please us, the gamers, you know, and yeah, they're awesome. The commitment and everything, because when you're doing mocap on a video game, you're working with the animators just as much as you are with the director and the writers.
Yeah, and what you said about, you know, Rockstar wants the games to come out as much as we do, but they take their time. Like they're on nobody else's time but their own. Where, you know,
till it's no problem delaying it. Yeah.
And like we're gamers, like, you know, we as a gaming community, like, you know, people often complain when a game gets rushed and released too soon. And then those same people complain when a game takes forever to come out. It's like, well, this is what happens if you want a game that's fully polished. Like with Red Dead 2, 8 years. And, you know, aside from maybe like a few bugs, if that, but I don't think they needed to do anything major like after it was released. I don't remember there being any, like, maybe like an ambient occlusion like issue with Saint Denis or something. It was very vague. That was like the only thing I remember anybody even talking about. Like it was pretty polished compared to most games.
I never hit any bugs on my PS4 with Red Dead 2. Yeah. I mean, you know, I know most of us definitely would prefer wait until it's ready, you know?
Yeah.
Because you got really good games like No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, and they're great games now. But when they first came out, they weren't quite ready, maybe. You know, and I think it took a while for people to start trusting them because it needed a few patches before it would go completely smooth, you know? And they're great games now. But yeah, on day one, you want to be able to sit down and enjoy it. You don't want to have to worry about some bug, you know, making you have to reset.
Yeah, and those first impressions are extremely important because even though, like you said, No Man's Sky, everybody tells me like how good that game is now, but I feel like it kind of missed its momentum, you know, like because I still associate it with that initial launch, even though people tell me it's good. I still have that like stigma of, you know, it was an incomplete game. And Cyberpunk 2, I think they definitely felt a peer pressure of trying to release a game way too soon, you know. And the
unfortunate thing too is what I'm finding now with a lot of PC owners, you know, it's like everyone has a different setup, you know, and a game, sometimes it's not the game's fault. Sometimes it's your setup, you know, and a lot of people don't like to admit that, you know, because I spent this much for my graphic card. It's only 6 months old, you know, but a lot of the times half the time in my experience, it's the setup. And, you know, that's one of the advantages of consoles, I guess.
Yeah. And on the phone, you had said about, do you still play any Call of Duty? Like, I know you said that not at all.
The last Call of Duty I played was I think it was the World War II one. Although I saw Modern Warfare 3 at Gamescom, and I might dive in. That looked pretty insane.
Well, I mean, I still play COD even though I get frustrated. So if you end up getting Modern Warfare 3, maybe we can do a dual stream and
sure.
Do some multiplayer together. I stay away from Warzone.
Okay, yeah, I love those games, and I tried Elden Ring, and it's an awesome game. I love it, but I can't play it.
No difficulty settings. It's all or nothing.
Oh, it's too hard. Yeah, it's too hard. I can't. I wish I could. I can't. I enjoy watching other people play it. I enjoy people who know what they're doing, watching them.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of skill.
Yeah, I've never played any of the Dark Souls games. That was the first game from software that I've ever played. And it was definitely like a shock to begin with. But I think I ended up replaying it like 3 times in a row, which is something I never really do. Like once I finish a story, I'm ready to move on. But I loved how you could keep going back and like picking like a different path, different abilities, and like have a whole different playthrough, which, you know, as much as I want. What's that?
When you finally beat whatever monster you've been stuck on, it's just such a great feeling.
Yeah, a lot of rage building up to that moment, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like as much as I wanted God of War Ragnarok to really win that last year, but I mean, it could have went either way. I mean, both games were absolute masterpieces.
Yeah, they won in our year, so yeah, they're all good. They're good.
Oh yeah,
at least I'm glad Chris does an awesome job. Yeah, I'm glad that he got that because I love both of those God of Wars. You know, spoilers, but the new spear and Ragnarok, that was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see what Santa Monica do next.
Yeah, I don't know what's in store for. There's a lot of talk about an Amazon show about God of War, and I know they're throwing out like certain names of celebrities, but man, without Christopher Judge as the voice and the acting of Kratos, it's not going to be the same. Like I just don't think it's gonna,
I'm obviously biased, but I don't understand why the original cast doesn't get a look in. I was so thrilled to see Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson and the HBO Last of Us, and I was so glad, and they both had really cool, interesting roles. And it makes sense, Troy doesn't look like Joel, Troy's a tall, thin, good-looking guy. He doesn't look like Joel, and Ashley is she's not a teenage girl, but so the fact that Neil Druckmann and is it Craig Mazin? I think Craig Mazin as well. The fact that they brought in the original cast and put them into the show was awesome. And I hope they do that I hear things for God of War, and I also for Ghosts of Tsushima. I really hope they give the original cast a chance, because, you know, they're the reason why we love that IP in the first place, is the original cast. And again, everybody thinks, oh, they just read lines in a booth. Not to say that's no small feat, you know. Voice acting is incredibly challenging, but it's because of the huge misconception of what the work actually is. I think a lot of casting directors, especially casting directors for film and TV, don't actually realize that cast they've already done the work. I mean, they perform their scenes much like they do on film. And I hope the original cast gets a look in, because Chris Judge is Kratos as far as I'm concerned. And I know Kratos is a white Greek god of war, and Chris Judge is African American and all that. But yeah, I hope they give the original cast something, you know.
Yeah, and I think like what little differences there are between Kratos and Christopher, I think as fans, like, we can overlook that, because he just has the passion behind the character that's what we want to see. Like, you can put anybody, like, it doesn't matter looks, and he's a bigger guy too. So it's not like he's some like little scrawny guy. I mean, he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's ripped. Yeah.
So I guess getting towards the end here, I had a question here. If Arthur Morgan ran into Jack Leary, what do you think one would say to the other?
Oh, wow. Well, Jack Leary's nowhere near as tough. Jack Leary's kind of got the middle-age spread going on, and he's just a normal engineer, you know? And Arthur is one of the fastest guns in the West. I think they'd get on, though. I think they'd get on.
Yeah, I
was really excited to be able to do something that wasn't a cowboy. That was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I think they definitely have a beer together.
Do you find it easier? Do you find it easier to portray a character that has a voice closer to yours? Is that an easier thing to do, or do you prefer to kind of step outside yourself and be more of like an Arthur Morgan, character that's a little bit further from you?
I enjoy a challenge. I always like to seek out stuff I haven't done before. I always enjoy that. You know, like I said earlier, I try to keep my pigeonhole as big as possible. So I always seek out new things that I haven't done before. That's the stuff that I like, you know. And yeah, I'm just grateful for whatever opportunities get thrown my way, because I remember starting out as an actor and I wasn't able to make a living out of it for the first 10 or 11 years of my career. I had to do loads of other jobs as well. So nowadays, I remember what it was like, so I'm eternally grateful. So I just, any new opportunity I embrace. And if it's something I've never done before, all the better.
I'm just looking through any other questions I had. Again, thank you for this opportunity.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for checking out Fort Solis. I hope you guys liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as soon as you have the game starts off with you like just talking, and it's like as soon as I heard your voice, I'm like, I know it's Roger Clark, but you can always hear a little bit of Arthur Morgan in there, and it's always cool seeing you in other games and other things. So
thank you. Yeah, Arthur will always be a part of me. I think that's pretty safe. But yeah, like I said, I love working, and mocap is one of my favorite mediums, because I've seen it advance, the technology advance so much in the 15 or 16, 17 years that I've been doing it now. And I love games too. I love working on games.
It definitely seems like a specialized thing. So like not anybody can just step into a mocap suit and do what you do. So it's another way to kind of secure like your position and things. Like when you do it as often as you do it, as well as you can do it, people will seek you out.
It is a unique skill set, without a doubt. And I worked with like almost 1,000 different people on Red Dead 2, and most of them had never done mocap before. So it was always really fun and exciting to see them figure it out. You'd be surprised how quickly some people latch onto it, and then other people they just can't wrap their head around it because they don't see the environment that they're actually in. All they see is the pipes and scaffolding, But I think anyone who this is just my opinion, but anyone who's done theater I think would be pretty comfortable on a mocap stage.
Very nice. Was Red Dead 1 mocap, or was that was also mocap?
Was.
Okay. So Rob had some experience.
Yeah. He was doing all. I think it was all 07, 08. Rob was working on that. Yeah. And Benjamin, Byron Davis, and Steve Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mention it, because I remember Benjamin talking about like when he fell backwards, like filming that final scene, and like, so yeah, right there is, I forgot he had said that. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it was only a couple of inches, and he would just fall on a mat.
Yeah.
And then the physics engine takes over. They just let gravity do the.
Yeah, and Red Dead has some amazing ragdoll physics that definitely create a lot of funny moments for clips.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've seen, like that one shot where his head is clean off, but he's giving the guy a thumbs up, like, well done. And then you walking like 10, 15 feet as they're dead, but they're still just, momentum is just carrying them like a ragdoll. Really good ragdoll physics on that, yeah.
I thought it was interesting that, our first, most of my content has been built on RDR2, and, you being the motion capture artist for Arthur Morgan. It's interesting that we came together for the first time, not Red Dead related. And I always thought that was kind of like an interesting thing.
That's bad. I've enjoyed your content for years, man, and I always thought you're really funny, and you do pretty good Arthur and Dutch, I might say. One of the better ones. I've heard a lot, and yours is pretty good.
Oh, that means a lot. I saw, back to that one post I was talking about where they did like it was AI as Dutch, like doing a campfire song, and you had like criticized it, saying, if you keep sharing this stuff and supporting this, soon it's all you're gonna have. And underneath that, someone said, what about doing like an impression of Arthur? And then you were like, yeah, that's okay, because it takes human skill. And I remember like going, thank God, because that's what I do.
Absolutely, man. Impressions are great, especially when they're done well. That takes actual skill, as long as they're not pretending to be me.
Yeah,
because I have been on YouTube, and some cheeky fucker saying, excuse my language, but some cheeky fucker will go, voice of Arthur Morgan playing Red Dead 2. And I'm like, yeah, that's not exactly true, is it? And people go looking on that thing expecting to see me.
Yeah. But, so even yeah, and like for like one thing that I have is like, a lot of people ask me to do like Arthur Morgan quotes like while I'm playing the game, and and I don't mind that, or I don't mind adding my own like catchphrases that I've come up with over the years. But then some people will, and again, it's pure innocent questions, but they'll ask me to do like the jelly bean quote, do you want some jelly beans? And like, to me, that's not Arthur, that's you, like that's your thing. And I try to steer them away from, having me do that, because that's a cameo from Roger Clark. They need to get...
That's not Red Dead related at all. That's just something that took on a life of its own.
Yeah, I think I was in that stream. It was either that one or the Barbie girl. But I remember watching one of those streams on Instagram when you were doing that.
Oh yeah, my Barbie girl was fun. Dr. Thunder. If anyone in the Philly area, Dr. Thunder is one of the best karaoke guys going. He's a cool guy.
But yeah,
that was during COVID, trying to cheer people up.
Yeah, and it became definitely an iconic moment. A lot of clips.
Yeah.
But yeah, that means a lot about the the impression of
Pretty
Arthur.
good, partner.
Yeah. And Dutch too. Like that's I always chalk up my impression to like if
Dutch has, you gotta get the voice.
Yeah, right. You gotta get the voice, Arthur. But like I
do a better Marston than I do a Dutch.
Yeah, Rob has such a unique voice, though. That's a tough one to do.
And that's him. That is him. Can you imagine you're somewhere in southern Indiana, and you're just at a gas station or something, and you just hear John Marston behind you? Can you imagine?
Yeah, because he can't turn that off and on. Like, that's his voice.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always said to people, like, when they say, like, oh, you do a good Arthur Morgan impression, I'm like, I feel like if Rockstar had a Saturday morning cartoon of RDR2, like, that's where I feel like my impressions kind of like sit in. But maybe it's because of the scenarios that I also put the characters through with my content that it comes across as more cartoony. But that's where I feel like my impressions like sit.
You know, a lot of people keep asking about that because of the success of The Last of Us and all. We're seeing so many video game adaptations on the big and small screen now. But I don't know what's going on. I know nothing. But the whole time I worked with Rockstar Games, they would always say, you know, we don't make TV shows, we don't make films, we make video games. So I don't think they're interested in transferring their IP to a different medium, at least not now. But who knows? Who knows what might come in the future? But yeah.
And it's always fun, you know, as fans to speculate and like, you know, what would you want to see in a show? I think I'd like to see something else other than what we've played, you know, like, because we can play RDR2. Yeah. I want to see what else you guys have done. Like, what are the other adventures of the Vanderlyn gang that we didn't get to already play through, you know, in the game itself?
There's definitely a lot of there's still so many unanswered questions. Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think we haven't seen the last of it. But who knows what the next installation will be? I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, personally, and obviously, personally, I'd like to see them go back and tell the origin of the gang, because we've got the closure with Jack at the end of Red Dead 1. We got the meat of the group where Dutch kind of, you know, lost his mind and the gang fell apart. We need to know now how the gang came together. What was it like in the early days? How did these people come together?
That would be really cool. Yeah, definitely. I've often fantasized about that, and you know, you don't want, as long as you don't go too far in the past, because then the guns will get worse. But yeah, I think that Red Dead, there's definitely a lot more opportunity out there for storytelling, and you know, nobody tells stories quite like Rockstar Games. I think, yeah, I can't wait to see what they have in store. I hope I live to see it.
That's what I say. It seems like every game is getting further and further, like more of a wait time. And I think with GTA 6, we probably still have about 2 more years for that. And then Red Dead 3, if we get that, probably another 10 years after that, if not longer.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to let you get some rest. It's been a...
Thank you for having me, SWOL. Thanks, everyone, for appreciation and Outlaws for Life. I hope you all like Fort Solis. It's available on PC and PS5. That you can download it right now. If you want a hard disk, that's out September 30th. And if you want to play it on your Mac, you can pre-order it now. That'll come out October 26th. I hope you like it. And I thank you for, I can't believe you guys are still appreciating Red Dead. It blows my mind, and thanks, SWOL, for being an awesome streamer. I love your stuff, man.
Yeah, that's all. I still remember the day that you retweeted me saving Lenny and then followed me back. I was like, no way, because that's, you know, growing up, you know, in the 80s, 90s, and whatever, like we didn't have that kind of connection.
Story music, right? That was with the Never Ending Story music, right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yep, he grabs Lenny and they fly away to, we say Tahiti, but it's only Guarma, but that's just kind of what it represents, you know.
Yeah, that's the happy ending that they both deserved.
They did, yeah. I did another clip, I don't know if you saw it, where I went back in time and saved Sean from getting shot in Rhodes.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Like I character swapped you or Arthur with the robot in the one scene where the scientist like activates the robot with lightning. And then it looked like you kind of like got shocked back in time, and then you swoop in and grab Sean and fly away with Sean.
Nice. Yeah, save Sean too.
Yeah,
they're all great.
I'll save everybody and we'll have a beach party in Guarma.
Absolutely.
All right. Mm-hmm. But thank you again.
My pleasure, man.
Yes, thank you so much, Roger.
All the best. Take care, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.